Now I'm trying another kind of service. Whether it's feeding the unfed, healing the unhealthy, or educating the uneducated. This cause is the most important one of my life. This is my third innings, and it's the most fulfilling of them all.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is both an honor, a privilege to welcome a true legend of the game of cricket, a name that needs no introduction in the world of sports. Mr. Gavaskar not only is one of the greatest opening batsmen in cricket history, but also a symbol of resilience, grace, and excellence. He was the first player to score 10,000 runs in Test cricket, and is the first to hit 34 Test centuries, a record that stood unchallenged for many decades. Now, you see this video? Recently when India won, this was Mr. Gavaskar. So as we bring him in, please stand. Please show him your love, your southern hospitality. Mr. Gavaskar, this was a southern hospitality welcome for you.
Across the globe, we serve millions through three pillars: nutrition, education, and healthcare, all completely free of charge. The Annapurna Morning Nutrition Program
And inspire positive change. His discipline he brought to the pitch is the same dedication and discipline he brings here. Tonight we are incredibly grateful to have him here with us, not by video, not by Zoom, but in person. And he is somebody who believes in the compassionate human being through the power of service and unity. Ladies and gentlemen, once more, please help me welcome Mr. Sunil Gavaskar.
Yeah, we got stuck so badly in traffic, 2 days was being repaired or whatever it is, there was maintenance work going on. And we just got, we were like, instead of a T20 kind of speed, we were like, that's my speed when I was speeding. And so therefore, you have to wait a little bit. So kindly excuse me for that. As an opening bat, I'm normally used to being on time. Because if you are late, then the whole team is declared out. As you know, if you don't land up in recent time, you will be hearing so much about players, batters being timed out. We saw Shakib Al-Hasan being timing Angelo Matthews out in the World Cup. So batters do get timed out in case they don't turn up to bat in within 2 minutes of the previous batter getting out. But as far as opening batters are concerned, they have to be there straight away. So generally I've been used to be pretty much on time. This is the southern traffic. But let's not talk about the southern traffic. Let's talk about, what brings me here. This is my third innings. You know me as somebody who played a bit of cricket for India, and that was my first innings. The second innings, with RJ mentioned, has been as a broadcaster. I write a few columns. I've been part of the administration in the capacity of being cricket committee chairman, not directly in administration as such, but in the BCCI as well as in the ICC. So that's been my second innings. I also have a company which is into event marketing, management, etc. I think at the moment in the IPL, my company is handling about 4 or 5 sponsors, national, central sponsors, and I think a couple franchise sponsors as well. So that has been my second innings. But my third innings has been as try to spread the mission to save children's lives. Because in India we have a major problem of children born with congenital heart defects. And what the size of Jiminy hospitals has been doing has been providing totally free of cost surgeries for all those children who invariably come from a financially challenged sector of our society. And children on daily wages who do not even often have a return ticket to go back to the village from where they have come to the city. Who come to the city, they've never seen so many people before, they've never seen so many cars before, they've never seen so many buildings before. And they come in pretty bewildered, anxious about their child. And when the hospital takes them in, takes their child in, decides that you are going to be the procedure is going to take place maybe a week later or 4 days later. In emergency situation, obviously the child is taken in pretty much immediately. But the parents are looked after in an annex where they are provided everything. They are provided, boarding, lodging, everything while their child is still in the hospital. And the success rate of the size junior hospitals is more than 99%. Which is phenomenal considering, when you look at a child's heart, it's almost like a little bigger than maybe a peanut. And to be able to, do the kind of, surgery, delicate surgery on these hearts to fill up the holes or fill up the issue with that particular ailment is something totally phenomenal. Our doctors work pretty much 16 to 18 hours a day, very little time they have for any other activities, recreational activities. So that has been one part. We are also into education. The education particularly for rural children. The medical college that has been set up in Muttanali offers totally free of cost medical education for children, rural children. And after they finish, there is an understanding that for the 5 years after they become doctors, they will serve in rural areas, not necessarily there, but rural areas all over India. So that's also been something which has been absolutely phenomenal, because where can rural children bring in the money that is needed to go into the cities for medical education? The cost of medical education is so high that from the rural areas there are very few that can break through. And you've seen in cricket, you've seen with the IPL how those in the rural areas are now becoming superstars of Indian cricket. Earlier on, cricket was restricted mainly to the metros, and most of the players in the Indian team came from the metros. There would be, of course, the odd player from the non-metros, the interiors of the country. Super talent. MS Dhoni is probably the best example coming from Ranchi. Ranchi had no sort of background as far as cricket was concerned. There is the Suresh Raina, as you name it, so many coming in from the smaller towns. And that is exactly what we're looking to do as far as education is concerned, that we want also, by providing free education, that these children will be inspirational for other rural children to come in and show how good they are. Then we have the Annapurna nutrition scheme. And at the moment we are feeding over 10 million children in 24 states of India. Again, totally free. Again, these are children whose parents go very early, being daily wages, go out to earn their living. And therefore, nobody to look after them. So they are looked after by the Sai Shirt supplements that is given to them as breakfast. And obviously, we all know if we try to try and fast and go to work without having anything inside our tummies, we are probably a little bit irritable, we're not at our best. And so, giving the children these supplements is also one way of ensuring that they are at their brightest when the teachers come in and start to teach them. So these are the three things that we are really involved with, and which is the reason why we've gathered here today. Because the way I look at it is that we are one world, one family. That the family of ours should be the whole world, and therefore we should be looking to support each and everybody in whatever way that we can. Now you might also ask me, how did I get involved with this, and why did I get it? My family has been devotees of, thank you, Bhagwan Sri Satya Sai Baba for over half a century. And his hand has been on my head ever since I started playing cricket. I went through a tough period, having made my debut for Mumbai. Then for 2.5 years, I wasn't selected to play for Mumbai. I wasn't even in the 14, we were playing in the 11. But I kept on trying to get as many runs as possible. As my uncle Madhav Mantri told me, that if the selectors don't hear the knock on the door, then break the door down. I'm not going to break the glass. Break the door down with your performances. Get 150, get a 200, 250. So that's something that I remember. But to get to that 150, 200, you also need a bit of luck. And that is where I believe that Bhagwan's hand over my head was instrumental. My first innings in Test cricket, I don't know how many know, that my first runs in Test cricket were actually leg byes. So the ball went off my pads, went down to deep fine leg, and I came to the non-striker's end. And I just looked to the corner of my eye because the umpire was down there. I looked to the corner of my eye and there was no signal leg by. I looked again and I didn't see that. So I said, oh my God. At least in my first innings in Test cricket, I will not get a zero. because my first innings in Ranji Trophy cricket was a zero. My first innings in the Irani Trophy was a zero. So I was thinking, at least with this umpire being, very generous and not signaling the leg by, that I got off the mark. But in that innings, a few runs later, I was batting on 12. I went to play a drive. The ball took a thick outside edge and went to who I think is the greatest of all time, Sadaf Sohas. And it went straight in here and out. What you call a dolly catch, that's the word that you use, dolly catch. If there are anybody named Dolly here, please. We don't mean it, but that's a cricketing term that's been used. And I went on to score a half century. That drop catch for me was a second cricketing life. And in the next test match, I was batting 4, went for a cut outside the off stump, and the ball went to again to Garfield. So this time the ball traveled at speed because I really thrashed at the ball, and he could pick it up in the background of the crowd. Sometimes, when you're fielding in the slit and the crowd is in the background, you can't maybe pick it up. So that's what happened. It hit him on the chest, went up in the air, fell down, and I went on to get my first test century. So I got another second cricketing life over there. And that is the reason why when the hospitals were built, the Sai Sanjeevani hospitals, we've got four hospitals currently. That's the reason why I really got involved, because this giving a second life to a child resonated with me, with what had happened to me in my test career. And so I got really involved with it. And I am still, as long as I can, I'd love to be involved with it, because what one sees after the procedure is done, when the doctors come out and tell the parents, and like I told you earlier, the parents coming from the villages are a little frightened, little bewildered by the whole scene. And so they're unable to first soak in what the doctor's telling. That the doctor's telling that the surgery is successful and your child is going to lead a normal, healthy life. They're just staring at the doctor, not really understanding what he's saying, because they know their child is suffering from a serious ailment. They are not able to, sort of take it in. But as it sinks in, that expression changing from the one of bewilderment, fear, then to a bit of disbelief, then relief, and then happiness. I mean, the expression changes, within seconds the way the expression changes. And to see that, believe me, has given me more pleasure than scoring a double century for India. It's been just incredible to be able to see that. And now, over the last dozen years or so, since the first hospital came up in New Raipur in Chhattisgarh, we've had over 35,000 surgeries, totally free of cost, 35,000 surgeries. And it has been absolutely incredible just to be able to look back and to think, that this is what the Sai Sanjeevani hospitals has done. With the education as well. I wanted, when the medical college came up, I was again very enthused, free medical college, very enthused, because I wanted to be a doctor myself. I used my auntie, my father's younger sister, she was a doctor. And she had a clinic again in Mumbai, very close to where the mill workers used to stay. Again, what you would say, financially challenged section of society. And my mother, because we didn't live too far away, my mother would take me to her clinic because she wanted just a little bit of relief. And as you know, aunties and uncles and all, when they pamper their nephews and nieces, she would ask me to mimic, how a wicket keeper stands and how a wicket. I must have been, 5, 6 years old maybe. and how does the wicketkeeper stand, how does the bowler bowl, those kind of things, and that would be a little bit of light entertainment for her as she looked after all the patients. But while I was doing that, I would notice the patients, and what I would see was the reverence with which they looked at her. Those were the days when every doctor in their dispensary had somebody called a compounder, and he would make the medicine for you in what you would call as a soup bowl. He would grind it across and he would make medicines for you, maybe mix something. So you didn't have to go to a chemist to buy those tablets. The potion would be given to you that way. But apart from that, I didn't actually see a billing counter where these patients were giving any money to the compounder or to her. Of course, that didn't strike me at that stage. I mean, now when I recall it, I remember that. But the reverence with which these people would look at her was what made me at that age want to be a doctor. I probably was about the age of that kid over there. Of course, at that stage, you don't really know what you eventually want to be or what you're going to be. But by the time I think I got a few years older, and I think I was probably in the 4th or the 5th standard, as we call it in India. I think you have different grades over here, but first grade, second grade, whatever it is. But by the time I was in the 5th standard, I realized that I didn't have the kidney to become a doctor. And of course, I wasn't really, I was a bit squeamish when I saw a little bit of blood. So that doesn't help if you want to become a doctor. So being a doctor went out the window. But to be able to help in some way for a rural person to be able to go on to become a doctor is something again that has given me great satisfaction to get involved with that movement. By the way, I have to say that the ambition to have the doctor before my name has been fulfilled a few times. I've got Swami's grace that has happened. So here I am, inviting you to join the mission, to save as many lives of children as possible, to educate as many rural children as possible, to join in trying to feed as many children as possible. It has been a pleasure being here. This is not exactly my longest innings, but truly the fact that you've turned up when you could have been doing something else is really special for all of us. I'd be very happy to take any questions that you have. I think we're looking to have more hospitals. What is happening is that we are also opening mother and child centers where pregnant mothers are checked, examined, and if there's any issue at that particular point, except that we know we are prepared for it. As far as the medical college is concerned, slowly more and more students will be admitted. Our faculty over there is absolutely top class. So more and more students will be admitted. We are not taking any shortcuts. They have to be going through the NEET program as it is there. So there's no shortcut, there's no influence.
Are about when we used to bunk classes and listen to the commentary. We used to steal radios and listen to commentary. Those are all the memories I have. I want to know, what is your best memory about the best scoring you've done?
It's an innings of 57 at Manchester, which was the first time I actually played on a green surface, green pitch. The ball was flying around, so that was for me, to be able to handle that was for me the best innings.
This was
In 1971 in England.
against England.
Against England. Yeah. So that's something that I remember because the ball was really flying. I was a bit superstitious then. I'm a sports person, not generally superstitious, but I despite the cold weather, it was a slight drizzle, and Manchester can be cold. I wasn't wearing a jumper, neither a sleeveless one. I was just playing in shirt sleeves. So there was always, I picked up a little cold and fever after that innings, thanks to that. But that remains to be my best innings so far.
How long have you been part of the hospital career?
I think this has been going on for the last 13 years, from 2012. The first hospital came up in Raipur, New Raipur, in Chhattisgarh. And again, we've recently got land next to the hospital, where we're going to have skilling for the tribal children. Chhattisgarh, Bastar area, which is close to New Raipur, has been affected by the Naxalite movement. And with the children from those tribal areas being absorbed into our institutions, as well as giving them the opportunity to learn new skills. A lot of them are coming back and not trying to get into a movement where eventually nothing's going to happen. And so therefore, that was the first thing.
Supporting this foundation would be more better if the government of India would tie up this foundation to like AIMS and other medical institutions.
The government of India is playing a part, but if you're talking in terms of other support, firstly, we maybe not the government of India itself, but the state governments giving us the land is a huge contribution because land is so scarce. So that is a huge contribution as well. And we have the good fortune of getting quick permissions. So I think RJ will probably bear me out. Almost every single hospital has come up in 12 months.
Wow.
12 months and I have to say that we have a hospital in Fiji, we have a hospital in Sri Lanka, we have two hospitals in Nigeria, and yesterday I was in Clark State, where a wing of a hospital was given to the Septis IAS and hospital.
Who is the toughest bowler that you faced and who is your admirer?
Maybe once the second innings also tapers off, maybe there might be something, but I don't know. I believe that Swami guides me, and so there, I think with his guidance, if there's a fourth innings, certainly we'll go forward.
The reason behind that is, as you know, US probably survives the tax laws and so forth. There's so many foundations, so many philanthropies, foundations. I think there is a avenue in US where you could tap into all those funds which are available, but they have to be, somebody has to make them aware that what we are doing here, right? So I think that could be a fourth innings in the league.
So can you draw parallels between, the discipline it requires to be a cricketer and, the kind of commitment it takes to be a humanitarian such as yourself?
That's a tough question to answer. As a sports person, there are boundaries that you draw in terms of what you want to do and what you do not want to do to be able to be at your peak or at your best effort all the time. So I believe in the 3 Ds, which is dedication, discipline, and determination. And those 3 Ds, when you talk about dedication, it's dedication to your cricket, that you want to go for practice regularly, you want to be able to practice the best way you can, not just go for practice's sake. The discipline is not so much about keeping good hours. Discipline also about how to discipline your cricket according to the need of the team and needs of the situation. and the determination is never to give up. So though, I mean, like you could play a bass, you could look like a fool, you could have catches dropped, you could be as a batter, you could be getting hit on the ribs or the thighs or whatever it is, and maybe there's a lot of people around you with the slips and all that, and go at you saying you can't bat and something like that, and not to give up, be determined to stick around there because that time will also pass, and then once the bowler gets tired, once the ball gets a little bit old, stops moving as much or swinging as much, then you can, score runs. So those three Ds were to me most essential. And of course, obviously, before that, there's the bigger D is the dream that you want to be a India player or an international player. So those are the things. As far as these activities are concerned, I think it's more about what Swami is telling you to do. And if you can do it, then you will do. But obviously, Swami is not going to tell you to do things which he doesn't think you can do. So, as far as being a humanitarian is concerned, I wouldn't want to call myself a humanitarian, but I think I would really like to go with the flow in this aspect. And if you have to come here and do a little bit more in terms of setting up a foundation, here, or having more people aware of it, maybe that might be the way to go ahead and do it.
Those legendary West Indian pace bowlers back in the day without any helmet or anything. So I've seen some old footage, but I was always intimidated just by seeing the footage. So let alone facing them. So how did you muster the courage and what was the preparation? And secondly, how were they off the field? I know on the field they're too intimidating. Off the field, can you share a couple of stories of friendships?
Playing without a helmet. But for me, it was very simple. That there was nothing inside to protect. So I told you I wanted to become a doctor. So I realized I was, didn't have a kidney to become a doctor. So that's the one thing. They were all actually, the West Indians were a team that never said a word. Never ever said a word to you. The fast bowlers would finish their follow through about 2 or 3 feet away from you and just look at you through the corner of their eyes. And this was what I had to do because they were all 6 feet. So they would go down and just do this with their eyebrows raised, which was a message enough. So the glare was and the stare was, but off the field, they were absolutely wonderful. They were terrific. The West Indians love life. They love a joke. So that was the beauty of playing against them. But the reason why the whole cricketing world actually wants them to come back to their best is because of the way they play cricket. And even those who played against them, they also want them to do well because they never actually said anything to you. They never abused you, didn't have anything to say to you. So we all feel, that they should be back to doing what they do. By the way, I'm going to say, you got this India cap. I had to really, work very hard for that.
The mission here is that you're here for the foundation that's really making the difference in the world. So I think for us, it's a wake-up call. Because we get to a certain age in life, that, you want to help, you want to do the right thing, you want to help as many people as possible, but then there's not a right channel, right? We try to do our own, but we don't get to the level that we need to get to. So I think looking at it,
this is the first time we are seeing in person. It's great to see it. I have 3 questions. First question, what is the secret of your hair? Because 75 also you look fresh. I didn't see your travel from India. That's one thing.
This also has to be answered with nobody recording.
And cricket is only for cities and some few whoever access that level of cricket. do you see the difference when you play now and the opportunities like not getting everybody,
Who are unwell, born with that congenital artifact, trying to help rural children to get medical education so they can go and become doctors and serve in the rural areas. There's a lot of doctors from the city area hardly ever come to the rural areas. So that has been the thing. And then of course for children who are going to school, if we can feed them, the Annapurna mission to try and feed as many children. So that really has been the motivation. And what was your second question? The first question. The second question was?
I guess you can get a chance to ask as many questions as possible. One, how come you never got the bug of being a coach? Second, in the day when you were playing, draws of test matches was more often. Now we seem to finish them in 3 days. What has changed for the quality of the play that it gets over in 3 days instead of going on for 5 days?
I think that the pitches almost all over the world have changed a little bit during the time that we played. The income for every ball was gate money. So the pitches were made in such a way that the match would last 5 days. So you got gate money on day 5 as well. Now it's television. So honestly, as far as the boards are concerned, if 10 people turn up at the ground, it doesn't matter because they've already been guaranteed television income, television rights. So it doesn't make a difference. So therefore, pitches are prepared in a different way. Also because now the ICC has got the World Test Championship. So for every win, you get points, and then you go on to become, get to qualify for the World Test Championship final. So that is the reason why you have a lot more result-oriented results in test cricket. That said, also because we are now having a T20 event, T20 which has really electrified the 50 overs game as well. When we played in the 200, 225, 250 was a good score. Now in 50 overs you are looking at 350, 400 pretty much every time. Why? Because of the influence of T20 cricket. The influence of one-day cricket has also energized test cricket. Earlier on, if 200 runs in a day was fine. Today, everybody is scoring 270, 300, 350, scoring 3.5, 4 runs and all. So all these formats have actually helped. And therefore, what is happening is because of the influence of T20 and the one-day game, the batters are that much more confident of looking to score off virtually every day. So a lot of the left alone balls are no longer there. And therefore, in trying to play that, you could get out. And you might enter boundary, you might enter 6, but there was always the chance of getting out. And that's why you find a lot more results. You find a lot less 250, 300 scores being done in test cricket. Because batters are not looking to get going. It's become thoroughly entertaining and vastly entertaining than the time that we played. Definitely no question about it. And as far as not getting the bug to be a coach or a selector, I add that is because I'm not a good watcher of the game. Unlike Vishy or my uncle Madhav Mantri, who would watch ball by ball, even when I was playing, I could not watch ball by ball. If I got out early, then I would be in the change room and maybe read a novel. I would carry 2 novels with me in case I got out early to be able to read the novel. And not that I wouldn't watch, I would go and watch, but I wouldn't watch ball by ball, then come back in. And in every change room, there used to be a television, so you're aware of what's happening. You don't have to walk and watch. And then maybe reply to fan letters. There will be lots of autograph books and autograph bags and all would come in the change room. So try and sign them. So that way I would keep myself busy. But if you want to be a coach, if you want to be a selector, then you should be watching ball by ball. And since I didn't have it even when I was playing, now I don't know. So best is to even with commentary now. My half-an-hour commentary stint on my 5 overs in T20 cricket is done. Then I'll be outside Because there are televisions and then I'll be trying to get my 10,000 steps walking up and down. So that's okay. You can see what's happening and look over there what's happening. So that's, but ball by ball, that is the reason.
My question is piggybacking off his. We did see a wonderful innings from you against New Zealand when you got your one-day 100. So T20, did you think it came too late? Do you regret not being part of that time?
No, I don't regret it, but I know I would have enjoyed being part of it for one very simple reason. And that is, in T20 cricket, you field only for 20 overs. But now again, like I asked that young lady, I've got a question to ask you.
Yes, sir.
You said my third innings is as good as my first innings. So the second innings will not.
See, I grew up watching your first innings, so I can relate to it.
Okay.
You see an advertisement going on Google with the same 3 comments.
Yeah, he's having a go at me now. At the end. So, no, I mean, he's such a talented cricketer that I thought that, because you're trying to get a similar shot on the previous ball, you will hit. And maybe what happened with a lot of, it's happened to me as well. When ego takes over, in common sense, which is there, does not always, on the field, whether it's a tennis player or whatever player. I think in that instance, it was probably that he'd been hit there and he wanted to show that, no, I'm not bothered, I'm going to try again and got out. Which is where, I got a bit, because if you have the talent, you don't make the most of it sometimes, and it's Indian cricket, so I just got a little excited.
Thank you for taking time to be here this evening, like Sunilji said. Thank you for being here to listen to the third innings. We are going to give away an autographed bat by Sunilji. It's not by me. Yeah. You cannot pick your wife's number. All right. So if the number is 226-288.
What are some ways that we can participate in the renovation?
Well, first, that's a very good question. The fact that you want to participate is for me most heartening. What you could do is to start with, if you can, you try and be a doctor. And if you're a doctor, you will be able to be involved with everything that is there. You could be involved in coming to any of the hospitals that we have and work over there, serve over there. You could also be a professor in the medical college.